Morning, Fraser. Monday morning. I'm not going to do the arm thing to see what time it is. It doesn't really matter. It's about 9 o'clock. Just going to do a page of Bible study kind of thing. Don't have a lot planned yet for the day, but we have vet appointments for the dogs. So Juno's at 10:40 and Marco's at 11:40. We've got to separate them, and Juno goes nuts if we take Juno first, because I'm going to take Juno down there first on my own and then come back and get Marco. If we take Marco and leave Juno, she goes absolutely snaky. Like separation anxiety, huge whenever you go anywhere with Marco. So it just doesn't happen. We got to do Juno first. So that's all we're going to do for the morning, and then we'll see what goes on for the afternoon. All right, we got one dog done. Juno's done. They're a little bit behind. There was Juno does not like other dogs, and there was another dog in there that didn't like other dogs, and that was bit and it was injured. And so they were sitting on opposite corners, staring at each other, whining. They didn't growl at each other, but you know. Next is Marco. Taking him now. So I forgot the camera last time, but we're here. Very, very cool fish in here. Juno was quite enthralled with those things earlier, but Marco's in, but he will need a muzzle because he does not like vets. When we first got him, he had a busted paw, and I think he blamed it all on the vets. So, you know, he's good for the most part, but before Doc comes to actually see him, we'll put a muzzle on him and stuff. But he'll whine. He'll be crazy. But he's a good dog. Marco. You're a good boy. You're fine. Keep telling him if he wasn't such a grump, he wouldn't have to wear it. But he's a little bit of a grump when he's in here. A little bit. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. First plate of nachos in like 2.5 years. We found a chip that allows me to have 40 chips for only 30 grams of carbs. So this is it for carbs for the day, but nonetheless, I'm taking it. Just saying. There's a barge down there. I don't think there's going to be any way you're going to be able to see that, but there's a barge down there, and it's a large barge. Not doing that rhyme on purpose, but it's over by Texada. And there is some nasty waves hitting the front of that. Never looks that bad from in here. I mean, it still looks bad, but you know, I don't think it's a lot of white. I don't think we can get a full appreciation for how nasty it is out there from this angle because it's too protected. Oh, the tug's getting hammered. Do you see that one?
No.
The wave just went over the tug.
Whoa, look at that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So, got a bunch of 2x4s that I signed for Sharon today. And when I signed for them today, I had Kelly send me a pic, like a face pic, So I stood there with the camera in front of my face, looking like this. That's what Sharon saw with me in front of the lumber when after I signed for it. Can't wait to see the response. Right. So when Kelly and Craig and Guy were digging this the other day, here, Sharon stopped by. This is before she left. Sharon stopped by and said, "I want you to dig it out about another 3-4 feet." And they said, "Like, why? This is big enough. It's all we need for. We're basically building a lean-to shed kind of thing with doors on it, so that we can store a chunk of machinery kind of thing, right?" And Sharon's like, "Well, I want enough room to bury all 4 bodies." So after that, they put these in, and these are our headstones apparently. So at church, already dropped off the wood. I don't know whether you saw that or not, but as I was getting ready and about to leave, there was a meeting going on that I got asked to stay at. So, and then I got tasked with a job here before I leave. Allie's come back to pick me up now, but what I am doing, that looked like it was almost like I don't know what you want to call it, stuff. I want to call it stuff, but it's not. It's not stuff. It's not stuff. Love the wood panels. I'm more interested in what's under this right now, which is what I want to know. The question is how to do that. I chose this room because this room is kind of the least obtrusive. We're trying to find out what's between the floor and ceiling because none of us know. So if we wanted to say put in any if we wanted to put in any soundproofing, just want to know what's there. Careful. So much glare, so much glare. So the idea is potentially to put something called rock salt in here. I believe it's called rock salt, and it's basically an insulation. And my understanding is it's made out of rock. I'm not quite sure how that is, but I don't know how glass is made in insulation either. So really, when you want to get right down to brass tacks, I don't know much about anything. So what I want to do is take this down, which means I may have to take this out. That's likely going to have to come out. In order for that to come down.
My word. Can I explain the latest? I really don't have time right now. You know how I can't talk and chew gum. Okay, we can go. Yeah, pretty much actually. Figure out what's there. Nobody knows what's in here. Nobody knows. Now we know. Nothing. Yep, so that I can get a quote on something. So,
In case you can't tell, this is now me talking over this. So I noticed that I was doing one thing sketchy, especially there when I was taking the roof panel down. As you'll see here in a second, this is still live. I didn't bother to turn off the power here. So I noticed when I was trying to get it through the little hole portion there, when I was pulling the actual roof panel down, my fingers were in areas that I actually can't verify where they were on the back of that thing. So I am very, very grateful that they were far enough away that I didn't actually get zapped. But yes, I knew I was using it live, and I knew I was leaving it live, but I didn't figure it was going to be a huge deal. But, you know, what can go wrong? We never plan for accidents, right? So, but in this particular case, it worked out well. We get it back up in there, and as you can see when I screw the light back in. Oh my, it's still live. There we go. And I'm still alive, and I have all my hair.
right, so I got that off. Whew, can't see, I'm staring at the light. I got that off, so that's what I thought it was. There's nothing in there, and it's 12 inch. 400 inches. All right, so we've got 400 inches wide by 736 inches long, so we'll have to figure that out, which we will do. But now that I've got the measurements, I'm good. And again, it's 12-inch floor joists, which, you know, I knew. Hey, Fraser. Hope you're having a good day today, bud. Yeah, started off the day mellow, casual. Taking the dog, mellow, casual. Taking Juno to the vet first off, because again, if we take if we take Marco first, Juno loses her mind. Like, even when Allie's home, lost her mind the one day we did it. So, so we take Juno first. It went well. Got Juno in there, and Juno likes people. She's just scared in there, right? And so she's no problem. But got her home, and I'm not paying attention because she's going into the back of the Jeep, which is great. Kind of sniffling around in there, but there's nothing that I know of that she can get into that is back there, right? So no big deal. Drop her off. Wait a few minutes because they're still way behind, and then I take Marco out. I put Marco in, and Marco's gone right into the back and sniffing around and doing something back there too, which I don't really care because he's not falling all over the place and he's doing fine, right? I'm using the Jeep, by the way. And I get to the vet and get him inside, and I didn't bother putting. I used to put the muzzle on him right away. Didn't do that today. But nope, there's no point because he's not dangerous to anybody until the doc is actually looking at him, and then that's when he'll bite, if anything, right? He never has, but we just take precautions to make sure he doesn't. So, yeah, no, it's no issues. He was fine. There's a couple dogs in there, and, he shakes. He does his shaky thing, but he's okay. Get in there, get the muzzle on him. Doc looks at him, it's fine. Get him back in the... I put him back. I didn't pay for Juno, right? And I walk Marco out, and I throw him in the back, right? Boom, get in the Jeep, lock him up. Now I can go in, and I can take my time, and I can pay for both dogs. And they've got a dog in there too. That's one of the employees' dogs, and so I'm playing with that a little bit and we're taking our time and stuff. And I look back, I see Marco looking at me. I don't know whether he's looking at me the whole time or not, but get back in the car, and then I start driving off. And again, Marco's like he's sniffing hard into something in the back there, and then I realize I've got Rupert's cookies back there that don't have a lid on it. Yeah. So I got home. I started distracting Marco at that point. I have no idea how much either of them ate, but there's about a half a box left, so who knows? Who knows who got the most? But it was kind of funny. So what did we do from there? Came home, had lunch, and took off out. Had to go to Rona because I had to do my daily Sharon purchase today, and I was really, really pleased with that. And I don't know how good that picture will turn out when I took the video earlier, but I'm going to pull it up again because it's so worth it. I had Kelly take this today. So this is what I look like in the picture. When I took the picture and when I sent it to her, she sees this. And it goes directly to Sharon's phone. She did make a comment, and I told you, you saw the comment in the video about the graves. She said, today is not Wednesday, unless it's for the graves. And I said it was, and then she said to make sure it was extra deep. I'm not sure what that means. She posted a picture today, her and Fred, of watching the eclipse as it went over wherever they were in Mexico, kind of thing, right? So, yeah, then we went and dropped off the wood at Rona, and we're just going to go grocery shopping, and I got pulled into a little meeting at church there, and they asked me to just to kind of look and see what was in between. So we've got the main foyer there that you've seen, and then of course you've seen me working down below in that area where we have the leak down in the basement. But there's another bigger area underneath the entire sanctuary. Nobody knows what's in that floor. Nobody knows. We have no idea whether it's insulated, whether it's not insulated. We don't have a clue. So they asked me to check it out and see what I could find. So I did that today because I'm there. I may as well do it now. It's not going to be a big deal, right? So I went into the room that we used as a temporary cleaning room while I was fixing up the cleaning room, and ripped one ceiling panel down. And it's kind of what I thought. There's absolutely nothing in there for insulation. There's nothing whatsoever. So every step you hear upstairs, or every yell or whatever you hear from downstairs going up, it's traveling like crazy, right? So that's all we know. We know it's 2x12 floor joists, about 12-inch span. That was about it, man. Yeah, so that dragged me there for a little while. So now I'm home. All right, dude. We are still in John chapter 18, starting in verse 15. Simon Peter and another disciple were following Jesus. Because this disciple was known to the high priest, he went with Jesus into the high priest's courtyard. But Peter had to wait outside at the door. The other disciple, who was known to the high priest, came back. My understanding is it's understood that was John, who went in to the high priest's courtyard. John came back and spoke to the servant girl on duty there and brought Peter in. The servant girl said, "You aren't one of this man's disciples too, are you?" She asked Peter. "I am not," he said. It was cold, and the servants and officials stood around a fire they had made to keep warm. Peter was also standing there, keeping himself warm. Meanwhile, the high priest was questioning Jesus about his disciples and his teachings. And my understanding is they were not allowed to have these kinds of meetings, interviews, investigations at night, and yet they were. It was against their law, but they were doing it anyway. So Jesus said, "I have spoken openly to the world. I always taught in the synagogues or at the temple where all the Jews come together. I said nothing in secret. Why do you question me? Ask those who heard me. Surely they know what I said." When Jesus said this, one of the officials nearby slapped him in the face. "Is this the way you answer the high priest?" he demanded. "If I said something wrong," Jesus replied, "testify what is wrong. But if I spoke the truth, why do you strike me?" Then Annas sent him bound to Caiaphas the high priest. So Annas was actually Caiaphas's father-in-law. Annas wasn't the high priest, but he was the previous year, is my understanding. So they brought him to Annas first because Caiaphas, I think, was really only a figurehead. I think Annas probably still ran things. Meanwhile, again, Simon Peter, still standing there warming himself at the fire, and someone asked him, "You're one of his disciples too, aren't you?" Again, he denied it, saying, "No, I'm not." One of the high priest's servants, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, challenged him. "Didn't I see you with him in the garden?" Again, Peter denied it, and at that moment, the rooster began to crow. In Luke chapter 22, verse 60, Peter replied, the last time says, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about." And just as he was speaking, the rooster crowed. The Lord turned and was able from wherever he was and looked straight at Peter. Made eye contact. Made eye contact is in my own words. I didn't say that. But he turned and he looked straight at Peter. So they saw each other. Then Peter remembered the word the Lord had spoken to him. "Before the rooster crows today, you will disown me 3 times. And he went outside and he wept bitterly. Jesus knew what was going on. I keep saying this because we're getting closer and closer to the crucifixion, right? Jesus knew the whole time, man. He knew what Peter was going to do. He knew what Judas was going to do. I still say, and we'll find out that he doesn't, but even after Judas betrayed Jesus, Judas was filled with remorse. Judas took the money that he got from betraying Jesus, and he threw it back into the temple at the priests when they basically said, "Too bad, you made your choice." But if Judas had gone back to Jesus and had asked for forgiveness from Jesus, there's no doubt in my mind Jesus would have forgiven him. No doubt. I've heard it said that worldly sorrow leads to death and godly sorrow leads to repentance. Judas killed himself. Nothing indicates that he asked God for forgiveness for what he had done. Peter, however, stayed with the disciples and was restored by the Lord, which we'll get into later, but Peter denied Jesus 3 times. And at the end of John, we'll see that Jesus asked Peter 3 times, "Peter, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord, you know that I do." "Feed my sheep." "Peter, do you love me?" "Yeah, Lord, you do. You know that I do." "Feed my lambs." "Peter, do you love me?" And at that point, he was like in anguish. He was hurting. His feelings were hurt, right? But again, the Lord restored him. And the Lord, or Jesus, had already called him, "You're Peter." Peter means rock, on which the church will be built, right? So, yeah. But again, Jesus knew who was doing what. Jesus knew what was coming. And he went willingly because he loves you and he loves me. He loves everybody. He wants everybody to come to repentance. I say, God love you, buddy. I love you too. I miss you. I look forward to seeing you soon. And I will post more tomorrow.